Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Take the Leap with Colleen Biggs. We've had some amazing guests over the last several weeks, and we are not stopping now. Today, I know in our last episode, we were talking about getting unstuck, and she walked us through some exercises. And then now, today, we're moving forward and breaking through those mindset barriers with Ariel Kopak. I guess I should have asked you exactly how you pronounce your
That's
last
great.
name. So did I say it right,
You
Ariel?
did. Fantastic.
Okay, good. Whew. Usually I ask that question and I didn't. So we're going to hear from Ariel in just a minute. Again, if you are struggling with mindset barriers, that is, if you're struggling with positivity, if you're struggling with the choices of the things that you need to be doing in your life every day, if you're struggling with emotional roadblocks, whatever it is, limiting beliefs, this episode is for you today. So make sure you stay with us. We're going to dive into that in just a minute. But I would like to thank our sponsor, Hey Taxi Academy. Hey Taxi empowers and educates female entrepreneurs who are growing their businesses online. The Hey Taxi Empowered CEO membership is for you if you are a female entrepreneur who is ready and fully committed to taking action to run a successful, profitable business and ready to scale quickly. You need strategic support from experienced business peers who can partner to develop action plans and provide access to focused business training and go-to tools covering all the areas of running a business online, including finance, taxes, sales, marketing, and mindset. So you can take their Empowered CEO survey today to identify the gaps and gold stars in your current business strategy and structure at www.surveymonkey.com/r/Swiss cheese survey. And Hey Taxi is built on 4 pillars, which is make more money, keep more money, believe more money, and access more money. So you don't have to tell me twice when it comes to making and keeping more money. I'm all over that. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that and how you can break through maybe a mindset barrier that you might have that's keeping you from making the amount of money in your business that you desire to make. You know, what is that specific block that you're dealing with, and what is the root cause of it? You know, we tend to think it's topical, and sometimes it's because we're afraid to really dig down to get to the root of what that could be. And I want to welcome Ariel Kopak to the show and talk a little bit, you know, about who she is and what she's been doing these days and the type of business that she's built. And they call her the mental ninja, y'all. She's the mental ninja. Ariel has adamantly pursued the answer to the question of what holds people back from ruthlessly pursuing their potential. This pursuit led to the founding of her own coaching practice, Harness Your Hindrance, and utilizing her tools as a certified Myers-Briggs practitioner, certified coach, and certified NLP practitioner. Ariel also helps individuals and groups to identify the mindset barriers, emotional roadblocks, and limiting beliefs that have been holding them back. And I love it. Welcome to the show, Mental Ninja.
Thank you, Colleen.
So you've been doing this for some time then, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay.
Started off with training and coaching financial advisors. So the training, this was internally with a company. I was in training and development. And after working very hard, long hours to provide all that I could from a training perspective and make sure that they knew exactly how to succeed in the building of their business, the question came up of, okay, you lay out the path and you can tell someone exactly what they need to do to succeed, and they say they want to succeed. So if they don't take that steps, why? And that question drove me crazy. Why do we not logically do what makes sense for us to do?
Yeah.
Even within myself and seeing it constantly with other people, why do we
Yeah.
not take the steps that make sense logically to achieve the success that we say we want? And so that was what prompted my pursuit of trying to understand what's going on mentally and emotionally, what's going on behind the logic, outside of the logic that
Mm-hmm.
prevents us from taking those steps.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my background was internally doing this, progressing in that, and then my passion grew, my skill set grew, and I knew was all I wanted to do. So I didn't want to manage people anymore. I didn't want to do the other things that took away from my one true passion of coaching people through their limiting beliefs and their mental barriers for their
Yeah, talk to
success.
us a little bit about your background. So, where did you grow up? What was your life like? Where did you work?
Yeah,
Tell us
absolutely.
where you were at the point in your career when you had decided to make that change and start diving into these certifications to start
Hmm.
helping, empowering individuals with their mindset barriers.
So I say I'm from Wisconsin. I was actually born in Indiana and moved to Wisconsin when I was 12 and went to college in Wisconsin. And then a year after, I was working for a company in downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I loved the people that I worked with. And I was with a company that I saw great growth potential. And I'm going to tell this story briefly as I can because there's a component here as we talk about fear and taking the leap, as you say.
Yeah.
This was my take the leap moment at that point in my life. I was 23, post college, had a full time career and working part time to pay the extra bills. I was I loved my life, I really did, and I was offered an opportunity to move to Newport Beach, California, and do training and development for financial advisors out there to be the director of training development for a firm, which was a great opportunity. I didn't want to leave my life and my world in Wisconsin. I was very happy, very content, and I remember this opportunity kept coming up, and I remember the moment where I decided to take that leap and move to California to Orange County. I said, I'm content with my schedule. I'm content with my career path. I'm content with my job. I'm content with my friend circle. I'm content. And then I went, I'm 23. I'm not supposed to be this content. I got to go. And that was my moment of moving to California. And so I was out in Orange County, California for 4 years doing training and development for financial advisors. I started my coaching practice while out there. So 3.5 years in there, in California, I started my own coaching practice, went independent full time, and then moved back to Wisconsin 6 months later, as I always intended. I actually said I would move back to Wisconsin in 3 to 5 years after moving to California, and I moved
Hmm.
back 4 years to the day.
Gotcha. Well,
Yes.
congratulations.
Thank you.
What led up to you wanting to be certified in the various roles that you're certified in? Tell me what was going on in your personal life or in your business life that was the catalyst that drove you to want to start that practice.
Oh, there's many components to the different parts. So the one for Myers-Briggs I will refer to. I actually studied Myers-Briggs a lot prior to getting my certification. So all of my certifications, I pursued those not for the validation of the certification as much as it was for the pursuit of the knowledge and the application of that
Mm.
knowledge. And so for the Myers-Briggs one in particular, I had first been exposed to Myers-Briggs, I think when I was in college, and it was informative, interesting. I didn't really understand the potential of it. I was exposed to it again when I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and yet again, interesting, informative. Didn't really understand the power of the application. Again in Orange County, so there's a theme here. It kept coming up, right? And once I was
Mhm.
there, and I was in the training world, and I was trying to understand how to translate information to different people who learn in different ways, and understand the people dynamics of management, hierarchies, all of these different components of what's going on. I actually found Myers Briggs to be one of the most helpful tools in understanding what was going on behind the scenes with people. And in particular, it was with friends and it was with coworkers, even family members, understanding some of their drivers and motivations, because the tendency is to think people think like me. They're motivated
Mhm.
like me. They'll act in the situation how I would. That's just the natural inclination. And when they don't, it's why not? What's their motivation? What's their inclination? Why are they showing up this way? Myers Briggs was really the tool that helped me to understand where people were coming from, and it helped me to mitigate some situations that were a little bit challenging, even confrontational,
Yeah.
to really bridge the gap in communication and say, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Without the Myers-Briggs tool, I didn't really understand that. So that was my driver for the Myers-Briggs in particular, to better understand what's going on with people. And I had already been studying hours upon hours of Myers-Briggs before I went for my certification. At that point, it was just let me learn what I don't yet know, or can't learn from the Myers-Briggs articles that I would read 11 p.m. at night when I couldn't sleep.
Do you want to break down what Myers-Briggs is for people that are listening
Certainly.
that do not know what that is?
Absolutely. So Myers-Briggs is they call it the Myers-Briggs type instrument. And it's the type instrument is the tool to help people to identify their Myers-Briggs personality type.
Mm-hmm.
So that was created by Isabel Myers and Catherine Briggs. And that was from the foundation of the research and studies from Carl Jung, the psychologist, who my one of the reasons I love Carl Jung and Myers-Briggs is he came from the psychology world where they were constantly giving a diagnosis whenever somebody was not functioning as they thought they should. And
Right.
his conclusion was perhaps there's not always something wrong, or that not everyone needs a psychological diagnosis. Perhaps they just think and operate differently, or they come from a different perspective. And
Mm-hmm.
so he, from that, was able to understand different personality types and how people are hardwired in their brain. Doesn't mean, to clarify one thing, one misperception around Myers-Briggs is people say, I don't want to be put in a box, or I don't want you to be told, is going to tell me what I can and cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the foundation of Myers-Briggs. It's actually very counterintuitive to Carl Jung's philosophy. I say Myers-Briggs is your foundation, not your limitation. It's about understanding where you're coming from and how your brain is wired. So there's 16 personality types, and that's just an understanding of the hardwiring of your brain. I will sound like a nerd. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but they've done studies where they even have done brain scans and see how different parts of the brain light up based on your Myers-Briggs personality type. And so there's a lot of scientific validation behind there being some source of this, but it isn't necessarily a trait type or this is where you were at. It's about understanding where you're coming from and some of the preferences that you have.
Right.
At a young
Yeah.
age.
So that you can relate, once you understand what someone's Myers-Briggs, outcome is on their report, like you said, you understand where they're coming from, how to communicate them, what their preferences are, so on and so forth. Okay, great.
Yes.
And then so you fell in love with the Myers-Briggs practice, and were you able to start using that with people? Is that something you were just sharing with people, or again, how did you move into then becoming NLP certified, becoming a certified coach? What
Yes.
did that look like?
Well, thankfully, in the role that I was in, there was constant professional development. So I had a coach myself. I got to learn a lot from her, from being the recipient of coaching, and I also was given the opportunity to pursue some additional development opportunities that they provided or gave access to. So the certified coach, I was trained in what they call breakthrough coaching, which is a process of helping someone to really deep dive, understand what they want, and set up their environment for success. So often we don't set up our environment for success, and that is a big hindrance as well. There's what's going on internally, and there's what's going on externally, and we can take ownership of setting yourself up externally with accountability, kind of that stick and carrot, and the plan in place. So breakthrough coaching is about identifying what you really want, prioritizing that, and then setting up your environment for success to follow through on achieving what you want with a plan in place.
Yeah.
That was one thing I was exposed to, which is very helpful. And it does deep dive into what you really want and get into the emotions and the conviction around it that we so often just say, oh, I want this. When you deep dive into what you really want and go levels deeper, the conviction starts to manifest.
Right. I love that. In our book club right now, that with the LEAP community, we do a weekly book club. And in that book club, we are reading James Clear,
Atomic Habits.
His Atomic Habits.
Love it.
And we were just passing in the last couple chapters, we're on chapter 10. Last few chapters, he was talking about setting up your environment for success and how your what's the right word I'm trying to say, and it's escaping me right now, but your will. So your will can only last so long, right? And it's going to break. And so you don't want to put yourself in situations where you're not setting yourself up for success. And one of the main things that he talks about in doing that is your environment and
Mm-hmm.
setting up your environment for success. If it's cleanliness or working out or removing things from, like not having sugar, if you want to eat more vegetables or fruit, putting them on the counter where you can see them instead in the back of the, fruit drawer, things like that. So
Absolutely.
some of those examples that I think really align with what you're talking with in this. And then talk to us through the NLP training that
Mm-hmm.
you went through as well, and how that has added to, your coaching practice.
Absolutely. So I was exposed to the opportunity for NLP certification through a connection that I met through Toastmasters. So I was in Toastmasters for years, working on public speaking and both the impromptu and the rehearsed, etc. And I met someone through that who was going to this NLP training. The timing was very interesting because I was leaving California and moving back to Wisconsin
Hmm.
amidst this conversation. Long story short, I moved to Wisconsin, moved into my apartment. 2 days later, flew out to Atlanta for my NLP training. And so I was in Atlanta for 4 days just after moving back to Wisconsin, road tripping it from California back. So, very tumultuous time, but very exciting. And
Mm-hmm.
I went to this 4 day in person intensive training on NLP. I loved it because it's a scientific breakdown of the
Mm-hmm.
communication of the mind and body. And I'm a mindset coach and I'm very analytical. So the analytical application to understanding the mind and our thoughts and how we work and our subconscious connection, all of that, I loved it. So that was very informative for understanding some of the frameworks that are going on in our mind, some of how that the subconscious manifests and how we can speak to it. So NLP is a scientific breakdown of communication that came as a result of them studying world-renowned hypnotists and therapists and psychologists and people who are constantly working with people in the mind and communication. And they studied them for years to understand what they do, what works, and why it works. When you understand why something works, you can apply it so much more effectively. That's actually
Right.
something that one of my practitioners said to me. They said, Ariel, you've been doing a lot of this for a long time. You just didn't understand why it worked. And now that you do, you can apply it even more effectively. And I said,
Correct.
yes, I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I loved NLP training. I thought
Yes.
it was, absolutely fantastic. Like you said, it's the study of the mind and how things work and how they're all, just kind of the explanation too of how they're all
Mm-hmm.
connected. So now that you've told us a little bit about the different areas that you have been certified in and your path and getting to those, tell us more about, your community. Tell us more about the harness your hindrance, right? Who are the people that you're working with? How are you working with them? What type of products and services do you have? And I love our listeners to learn a little bit more about what that looks like in your community.
Certainly. So harness your hindrance is all about taking control and making use of whatever's holding you back. And the important thing is to really identify what is holding you back. And that takes time, reflection, introspection, and being asked the challenging questions. So a lot of
Mhm.
most of my clients I have a one-on-one coaching with, and we're continually identifying what's the current mindset block or roadblock. And majority of my clients are in worlds where they're constantly having to put themselves out there and try new things. And so they're business owners, commission based, and oftentimes they're in roles where there's already a lot of structure for how to do what you need to do to succeed. And so if they're not doing that, there's either too many options and they're overwhelmed with the options, and then need to identify how to sift through that, filter that, and make their own convicted decisions, or there's some mental block that's holding them back from taking action on what they need to do, that they know they need to do to succeed. So I work with a lot of financial advisors, real estate, mortgage, those industries where they are building a clientele, oftentimes also in a leadership role. There's a lot on their plate, and they have to figure out kind of how to show up every day as their best
Mhm.
selves.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
And share with us, like, do you have a client story or one that comes out that you can share with us about a breakthrough that someone had and they didn't even realize that they were, going through this breakthrough, or they did know that there was something there, but you know, we would love to hear more.
Yes. Well, there's a multitude of breakthrough moments that occur, and there's this, I call it the hearing of the release, that it's like this weight was let go of. And I love hearing when you can just hear the mind release something that it was holding tightly onto, that was not working. So I'll tell one story about my first client, actually. So I've had a multitude of clients and stories since then, but the moment that I determined I was going to do this full time, that moment of this is all I want to do. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to run a team and do all these other things. All I want to do is mindset coaching with people to help them unlock their potential. And the moment that was solidified for me was when my first ever external client sent me this Christmas card alongside a letter. And he said to me in that letter, I want you to know that I've hit goals I never thought I could achieve. His production increased by 78% over the course of a year, beyond what he anticipated or had planned. And he said in that letter, I want you to know that this has not just impacted me, it's impacted my family, my staff, those whom I lead in the office. And he said, I'm a better husband, a better father, and a better leader as a result of the coaching that we've done. So that was the moment of, this is all I want to do, because it wasn't just about the impact of the increase in production, which is important and has an incredible impact, right? You talk about finances and money. There's so much good that you can do when you make more money and allow yourself to achieve and succeed. And I really am convicted in the person that you become in that pursuit, breaking through those limiting beliefs, letting go of the limitations, the self-imposed limitations. So I've worked with people on the fear, letting go of the fear of letting people down, and not causing for them to hold back or withdraw from leadership, not take opportunities because of fear of letting people down, the fear of being seen, being exposed, vulnerable, the fear of being set apart, the fear of losing people or being seen as better than. Right? There's tons of fears around perception and identity and what this means for the evolution of self. There's that letting go of the former self. A lot of these things that I say, one of the hardest things for us as humans to do is to let go. And so honestly, a lot of the process is about learning what you're holding on to and what you need to let go of and allow in order to allow yourself to succeed.
Why do you think people hold on to those things?
There's this sense of ownership of what you currently have. And so to let go of it, it's a loss. And our mind processes loss, the feeling of loss, greater than the feeling of gain. So we experience loss at a deeper emotional level than we do gain. So even though what we want is greater than what we have, or we want to gain this thing, but it would require letting go of something that we currently have or currently identify with, that sense of loss resonates on emotionally greater than that which you may gain and receive. So establishing that and intentionally letting go and experiencing that loss and saying, this is okay, and I can feel this and I can process through this and let it happen, that takes intentionality to do, because your mind feels that loss. Over time, you once you let it go, it's okay, because then it is in the past. But while you still have it, while you're still holding on to it, that fear of loss, that feeling of loss, we don't want to experience. So we have to intentionally, essentially, push ourselves to do so.
Yeah. So in your words, for our listeners today that are listening, in your words, how would someone know that there's a barrier there? What is a symptom of something they're having? And I think you said in the very beginning, but I want you to bring it back, full circle now, as we wrap up, of how someone would recognize that they're holding themselves back, obviously, from something that they really want. But at some point, there has to become the responsibility that they accept that they're holding themselves back, right? Because we can't blame every outside source on why we're not achieving what it is that we want to achieve. It, like Michael Jackson said, you want change, you got to look in the mirror, right? If you want real change. So what is that would be something that's happening in their lives right now that's like, oh yeah, I think that's me.
one indicator of a limiting belief being present is I know what I need to do, but I'm just not doing it.
Mm.
Funny enough, that's one of the biggest.
Procrastination, maybe.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Procrastination. That's honestly one of the biggest objections that I receive when it comes to coaching is, oh, well, I know I need to do. I'm just not doing it, but I just need to do it. So I don't need coaching. And the type of coaching I do is not telling you what you need to do because I
Mhm.
know that you already know what you need to do. I'm here to help you figure out why you're not doing it. So if there's something that you're saying, I would need to do this or I want to do this, I know there's that desire for more, but I'm just not doing it. I'm not acting. I'm not taking. I'm not pursuing. I'm
Mhm.
holding back. That's an indicator. I When I do a presentation on this, I show a picture of this butterfly that is striving and flying and beautiful, but is being held back, tied to a rope, tied to a boulder. That it's this weight that no matter how hard the butterfly flies and strives, it's not going to get very far because of this weight holding it back. So
Mhm.
that's that sense of I'm striving, I'm trying, I'm putting this effort and this will forward,
Yeah.
and I'm not getting to where I want to go, or I'm not doing what I know I need to do in order to succeed. That's one of the greatest indicators that there's a limiting belief or a mental
Mhm.
block present. When it doesn't make logical sense, then there's probably a subconscious reason why.
Yeah. Or in other words, what we use is you're not getting traction. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
doing, but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
getting any traction. What's going on? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm so glad you were here today, Ariel, to
Thank you, Colleen.
share this with us. That was a great visual for my listeners to really understand. And how can we have all of your information listed for people to reach out to you, not only on Facebook, you can find this video on Colleen Biggs on Facebook, but you can also, find the information right here at your fingertips for the podcast. All of the links are there. Share with them the easiest way and the best way for them to connect with you.
Certainly. We can certainly go to hyhcoaching.com. That's short for Harness Your Hindrance Coaching. So hyhcoaching.com. I'm on LinkedIn. You can search my name. I'm probably the only Ariel Kopak you will find. And you can always email me at ariel@harnessyourhindrance.com. Those are a few different ways to certainly reach out and get in contact with me. And you mentioned about the offering, Colleen. So I
Yeah.
do one-on-one coaching. I actually don't do group or community coaching at this point because it's very personal one-on-one and digging in on the individual person's limiting belief and situation. So I specialize in one-on-one coaching, and I do have a course where someone can go and they can receive a complimentary chapter and see if they want more. And if they purchase the course from there, then it includes an in-depth limiting beliefs coaching session. So if there's a
Okay.
limiting belief and there's not a desire for ongoing coaching, there's just something holding you back that you've identified and you really want to break through that one thing, identify what that limiting belief
Mhm.
is, you can purchase the course, receive all of that content, as well as an in-depth limiting beliefs coaching session.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I know you said there's not another Ariel Kopak out there, but I can tell you there's another Colleen Biggs out there somewhere. And because she got ColleenBiggs.com, back when I
Oh.
wanted Colleen Biggs. And, when I used to Google myself a long time
Mm-hmm.
ago, I would find myself and a bunch of other Colleen Biggs out there. Now, when I Google Colleen Biggs, because of all the work I've done in the past several years, there's no one else out there but me when I Google it. So she's got
That's
to give it
fantastic.
up. So if you're listening, the other Colleen Biggs out there, you got to give up the
I love
ColleenBiggs.com
it.
because I'm ColleenBiggs.net, which is totally fine with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what she's doing out there. So, but I'd like to get to know you, see who you are.
Love it.
Well, thank you so much, Ariel, for being with us today. And every single one of us out there, whether you own up to this or not, we have mindset barriers that get in our way. And it may not be today, and you may have broken through some of those and have been doing the work. But there will be another day where you have another level, another opportunity, something else happens in your life, where that mindset barrier is going to come back. And so Ariel is a wonderful resource for you as the mental ninja, for you to be able to let her do her stuff, the ninja stuff that she does. That I'm a black belt. So going all the way back to my black belt days, I never wore a ninja outfit though. So I wasn't really a ninja because Taekwondo isn't really about being ninjas. But She wants to see you succeed. She wants to see you not have those limitations anymore. We, all of us as coaches that are working with individuals, want you to essentially, I know it sounds, so trivial to say it, but living your best life is about giving yourself permission, believing in yourself, getting through the things that are holding you back, and, setting yourself free and clipping that rope that's tied to that boulder so that you can just soar and fly. And that's really how you reach your peak potential, right? For those that are looking to reach that. So we have all of Ariel's information here for you to reach out to her. And I'll leave you with this. You're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that will ever be. That's it. So these days that are just going by that you're missing because you're numbed in this barrier that's holding you back, that's trapping you, that's weighing you down. It doesn't have to be this way every single day. You get to make the choice to break yourself free of that. And Ariel's a great resource. It's what she studies since she's been in her 20s. She's so young, and she can work with you one on one, or you can identify what this barrier is and work through her course to be able to find out more about how you can coach with her to see if that's the right choice for you. So make sure you reach out to her. She has all of her information. You can find her on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Ariel, thank you again for being with us today. And for all of you, until we see you next time, be you and be strong. And we'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.